Hey there guys, Coda23993 here, bringing you a gameplay of Blops. This is Crysis Team Deathmatch. And obviously if you're watching this, I think you might be watching this because of my top 10 countdown of the top 10 horror movies that I've seen. So let's have a little recap, just like I did on my previous video. Number 10 was Sleepy Hollow. Number 11 was Sleepy Hollow. Number 10, Freddy vs. Jason. Number 9, Alien vs. Predator. Number 8, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Number 7, 30 Days of Night. Number 6, 28 Days Later. Number 5, it was The Crow. Number 4 was Saw, which brings me to part 3. This is part 3. Now, a lot of people actually don't really watch Japanese or foreign horror, as it is called, which brings me to my third choice in my top 10 horror list. This is by far the scariest movie I've ever seen. Now, I'm not one to get very scared at all during many movies. This movie actually kept me on edge, and I actually had to turn it off when I was watching it at night and watched it in day. That's how much this movie scared me. Now, without further ado, this movie was remade in American culture, and it was crap. I'm just gonna put it out there. Anyway, this movie is called Shutter, and the Thai version of it, where it was made Thailand, obviously, is called Shutter. They Are Around Us. This movie came out in 2004. It was about a ghost that haunted an Asian couple. I'm not going to go into the plot because obviously, like I said in my previous video, that might ruin it. This movie was by far the scariest movie I have ever seen in my life. The American remake didn't do much for me at all. Now, I watched that, and whilst that American remake was good in some ways, this movie actually blew me away. Seriously, it was that good. Had me on edge for the whole time I was watching it. So I highly recommend this movie. Great acting in it, great solid acting. If you can stand to watch subtitles and you want to get into that Asian horror sort of stuff, watch this movie. By far the greatest horror movie, not the greatest foreign horror movie I've ever seen. Now number 2 is going to come at no surprise to you guys. I was getting really fed up with that guy, so I had to teabag him. Number 2 is going to come at no surprise, and that is Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. This movie brought me into watching horror movies. This movie was my pride and joy. I absolutely love this series. I really do. Freddy Krueger as a character is awesome. He's got a wit about him. He's got a humor. He's got everything a character should. And when he goes and pits up against Jason, it's such an incredible encounter that no one can really just put it down. This movie really did it for me. I've seen the remake. I sort of like the remake. I like the direction they were going. I just can't get used to Freddy. Jackie Earle Haley, he's an alright actor. He just doesn't look the same as what Robert Englund did in the original, and I think that's why I couldn't get used to it. Nightmare on Elm Street pretty much, just like Halloween sort of did, it defined the slasher genre. So did Friday the 13th. This movie was an original, and the reason why I didn't include Friday the 13th was that I included Freddy vs. Jason, which I thought was one of the standouts of the series. I know a lot of you aren't going to agree with me with that, but I just think that's the way I see it. So this is not your top 10. This is mine. So as I was saying before, Friday the 13th part 1 and 2 is pretty much about Jason's mom going on a crazy rampage. So you know, it's sort of hard to talk about. Anyway, back to Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this movie obviously came out 2 years after Halloween 3 did. So, you know, there's a big gap between Halloween 1, which was like 1975, and Nightmare on Elm Street, which is 1984. Now, this movie was just incredible to me. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street really did actually sort of give me the chills, whilst it actually, like, really, I don't know, it just invokes some sort of fear into you. That, you know, when you go to bed that night after watching that movie, you're just like, what's gonna happen? Is anything gonna happen? And you start dreaming about Freddy. I actually started dreaming about Freddy after I watched that movie. Luckily, I'm still here. maybe luckily enough for you, lol jokes. Luckily enough for my life, I'm still here. Anyway, the whole idea of that movie was that, like, he comes in during dreams, and that's what made the movie unique. It's not a normal slasher movie. Whereas, you know, I'm just going to stab you until you die, and there's no reason behind this. This movie was, like, a reason behind it. There's so much, like, good things about this movie that are really just... It just benefited everything. Like, I can't explain how good this movie actually is. And if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know where you've been in the horror genre. Because this pretty much made me want to watch horror, like, even more than anything else has. You know, that's saying quite a bit, I'd say. So I'm going to wait until it gets to the 7-minute mark before I start talking about my first choice movie, because that is going to be one of the biggest, like, I think it might be a disappointment to a lot of you, because I'm not going to include, like, you know, Jaws, if you're thinking about that. Because, you know, I wasn't sort of alive at that time, so I don't know what real fear it invoked in me, because when I watched, you know, the animatronic shark, you know, it started getting to the scene where it was the CGI that really took the trophy. So, without further ado, this is my first choice in my top 10 horror movie list. Now, a lot of people kind of criticize me to the hell house for what to say in this movie, but okay. So this movie is called Cry Wolf. Now, even the title pretty much speaks out what's going to happen in this movie. If you've ever heard the story about, you know, the girl who cried wolf, cried wolf too many times, villagers gave up on her, she actually got attacked by a wolf, she died. I don't know if this movie has a lot to do with that, but okay. I'll give you the plot to this movie because, you know, I have 3 minutes to talk about it, so why not? Okay, so in this movie, there's a murder that happens, I think at the start, and what the teenagers do, because they're in high school, they decide to send out an email warning everyone that there is going to be a murderous rampage or something going on. And it pretty much goes from there that's actually what happens. And they didn't mean that to happen. They just, like, said it randomly. And it really spawned something in me that actually invoked somewhat of a fear and, like, a really good twist, too, at the end. It makes you care for the characters, because the movie just invokes so much, like, pressure on the characters during the movie that, you know, you have to care for them. You have to care for who's living and who dies. This movie really put forward, like, the genre of horror. Like, this movie came out in 2005 too, so, you know, it was 5 years ago that this movie came out, and I was actually shocked. Like, I thought this was going to be a really subpar movie, but I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it if you're into that sort of stuff. Like, I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me being this my first choice, or even in my top 10 horror list, but I absolutely love this movie. Like, I'm going to probably watch it again in about, I don't know, a couple of hours, actually. I've only watched it once, though, so that might be the problem. Knowing the twist at the end could ruin watching it twice, but the whole character building process and the scene, like, where it's at, and the plot really mends together in a way that not many horror movies can do now. And that's what makes it such an amazing movie, to me, and probably, like, to a couple of you. I don't know. So, you know, you don't have to agree with me on these movies. You don't have to agree with me on any of these movies by any chance. by any stretch of the imagination. This is what I think. You know, I don't know much else I can say, but video is coming to an end now, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this top 10, top 11 horror movies. You know, it was great for me to make these videos for you guys and to talk about my, like, you know, my passion sort of thing. I love horror movies. They're like my saving grace. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to check out the next Alan Wake part if you haven't. See you guys later.
We didn't come here to lose.